Well, it's interview time again, and with me I've got another Watershedian. Is that what we can call you guys, Chris?
I guess so, Russ, yeah.
Yeah, a Watershedian. Now, Chris is a local guy down here who loves his whales. There's no doubt about that. Whales have definitely been a big part of what we've been doing down here. What do you got to say for us this week, Chris?
Oh, look, Russ, whales is just one negative aspect environmentally of this plant that really hasn't been assessed properly by any approvals process. But maybe if we just go back a step and look at some of the big environmental issues overall, Russ, and you know, in Melbourne, there's 4 times as much water flowing into Port Phillip Bay and Bass Strait than is needed to secure Melbourne's water future. So why isn't government securing just some of that water? It's a bit of a no-brainer, really. With that water that runs out, this is urban stormwater and treated wastewater, that's causing massive environmental damage in Melbourne to rivers and streams and the bay and the ocean out there.
Try swimming in the Yarra.
Yeah, and try surfing at Gunnemanna Beach as well. Now, government has the opportunity for a win-win situation here. Collect that water that falls off Melbourne roofs and down the drains and reuse that, and then we don't need this desalination plant. By doing that, they're going to fix up Melbourne streams and the bay, etc., and they're not going to have this environmentally catastrophic desalination plant with all of the local environmental issues that it will cause down here.
You know, from week to week I still keep going on about my water bill because it astounds me. And even with all this runoff and that, just for having that pipe going past, that's $100 a month, whether you don't use any water. Surely we can do something with this runoff. It has to be able to get into our system.
Every expert says it, all the water experts, environment experts say that we can collect at least 150 to 200 billion litres of water out of Melbourne. And why aren't we reusing that? Then we don't have to produce 150 desal plant. They're letting 100 billion litres run off just down the beach here at Gunnemanna, and they're going to suck it back in again through these pipes. And in sucking it in through the pipes, Russ, it's going to kill every second 350,000 small organisms. Now, these are the base of our food chain. They're the small organisms that will colonise the reefs. They support the fisheries out here, and they're the feed for the local penguins from just behind us here, the Phillip Islands penguins. They feed out here, and basically all those small organisms that is the base of that food chain are going to be killed at that sort of rate, and over time that will have a significant impact. And that was borne out through the environmental effects statement. The EES confirmed that it will have significant negative environmental effects. But what's government do? They still let the water run out at Gunnemanna, suck it in here and kill all those animals in the meantime. And then there's other issues too. I don't know if you want to go into those now, Russ.
Go into some, because I mentioned the whales before, but it's not just the whales. We've been seeing more and more whales down here. The penguins, the seals rely on the penguins, the sharks rely on them. It's not just little organisms, it's the big ones as well, isn't it?
Correct. And you know, if you kill those small organisms up through the food chain, that'll have an effect on the big ones as well. And it's not just the fact that these organisms will be sucked in. Every second there's going to be 8,000 litres of toxic effluent pumped out just 800 metres out to sea here. And that toxic effluent, as confirmed in the environmental effects statement, will kill an inordinate number of small animals. Again, damaging that whole ecosystem and affecting our penguins, the sharks, the seals, all those gorgeous animals that live out here. In particular with the whales, we talked about whales. And this was really been ignored by Peter Garrett and the Victorian Environmental Effects Statement. The underwater noise produced from this is going to be very, very significant, and it will have a negative impact on the whales out here. Now, government has said there are no whales here, it's not important habitat. That's what they've told us, and that's what Peter Garrett swallowed. If you look at government's own papers, if you look at the EES, recent CSIRO research, it confirms what we locals know here. In the last 2 weeks, there's been about 30 to 40 humpback whales spotted out here. They live out here.
And I'll throw another one. A week and a half ago, we had one about 400 metres off the pier at Cows in the bay. So don't tell me there's no whales around here, Mr. Ballbugger.
Absolutely, yeah. They're gorgeous animals, and the concern with this desal plan is that apart from killing their food via the methods I mentioned before, the noise from it will deter these animals away. But then, Russ, there's one huge environmental issue we haven't touched on, and that's the carbon emissions from this project. Yep. This plant will produce up to 1.5 million tonnes of carbon dioxide every year, because it will be powered directly from Latrobe Valley's coal-fired power stations. Now, that's the equivalent of 32 billion black balloons, if you want to follow the government spin and their advertising campaign. Reduce our black balloon impact. Well, 32 billion black balloons a year this plant's going to produce. and that's the equivalent of 350,000 new cars driving the roads. And sure, if we need the desal plant, you put up with that. But the fact is, all of these alternatives we've spoken about, that is rainwater tanks for Melbourne, collecting the recycled water and reusing it, stopping stormwater runoff into their bays, stopping logging in Melbourne's catchments, that'll secure 30 to 60 billion litres of water a year and have a win-win on the environment by protecting the forests as well. All these things have a fraction of the environmental impact from the point of view of carbon emissions. And government will try to spin this, as they are, by saying, don't worry, this is carbon neutral. Now that's just a hoax argument. Whichever way they spin it, it's hooked up directly to the Valley's power stations. It is contributing up to 1.5 million tonnes of CO2 a year. They're hiding behind emissions trading schemes, carbon offsetting schemes to justify this. Now surely, in the predicament we're at with respect to climate change and the potential, the real, very close potential for irreversible ecological collapse, we have to save every bit of carbon we can. So why add another 1.2 million tonnes? Use those offsets to offset essential emissions.
See why I love Watershed? How passionate are these people? And they know their stuff. Log on to the website, be updated with it, but be active. Do you want them to let their politician know?
Oh, absolutely.
Would you like him to write to Mr. Baldy himself, Peter Garrett, and remind him about some of his promises that got him elected that went down the toilet? Is that what we want?
We do. Tell Mr. Garrett how disappointed we are in the fact that he is ignoring significant impacts associated with the project, and let your own politicians know as well, and tell them that there are environmentally better solutions to Melbourne's water security than this. Tell them to reverse that decision of Mr. Holdings a couple of weeks ago. The decision that he made that he would no longer, despite a pre-election promise, recycle, reuse the water from the Eastern Treatment Plant. Instead, he's going to continue to allow up to 100 billion litres of water run out. Tell him to reuse that water. Then we don't need this desal plant, and we save this beautiful ecosystem out here.
That's all we've got for you this week. Be active, get onto the website and be part of the solution. Watershed is out there keeping those bastards honest.